Hi, I'm Linda. Glad to have you back. Today I'm starting a brand new painting. I found this online. I've always loved it. I've seen it before, but it's a beach window looking out on a sandy beach. I'm going to do mine a little different. I'm going to change out the window a little bit, maybe put an arch window or something different. So, and I'll be using contact paper, and I'll show you every step of the way. So I hope you can follow me, pause and paint. So let's get started. So here are the oil paints I used. Liquid white, titanium white, phthalo blue, violet, black, sap green, Van Dyke brown, yellow ochre, cad yellow, and red. I used Easy Liner contact paper by Duck and a 1/4 inch Scotch performance tape from Amazon. So my husband Don is helping me with the angles for the windows. He's using that 1/4 inch Scotch performance striping tape, and he's lining up how wide I want the windows. He's making sure each side is the right width. And now to get the angle of the window panes, he put the piece of that tape center of the window and brought it over at an angle on both of those. And you see on the right there how the right perspective is for each window pane. Turned out really nice. And then he does the same thing to the other side. Puts those two pieces of tape right center on the edge of the window, and then he brings one there, and you see the finished product. I double taped the square for the whole deal there, but above I used, believe it or not, I used a lampshade, and I created that arch, traced it out on the contact paper, cut it out, laid it up there, and then I put three actually, pieces of that 1/4 inch, and I made 4 window panes up above. And I made kind of a medium to dark gray, and that's with white with a little touch of black, and I went all around the edge to make my room color. So now I'm adding just a little bit of the liquid white, just a little bit, just to make things slide a little better. And then I take some of my shop towel and I wipe the excess off. Which is good. I mainly did it in the main section there, and in the window panes too. Just a little bit. That striping tape works pretty darn slick, I'll tell you. So if you can get a hold of some of that, that works really nice. Now I'm using a little bit of phthalo blue and with a tiny bit of white, and I'm creating my clouds up there, little circular motions with my fan brush. Just a real nice powder blue. A little darker on the far corners, just a tad darker. I'm going to go just below that top set of windows and just brushing inward, softening the bottom part. And I use a little shop towel there to take some excess off, just to make it a really nice powder blue. Same on the other side, a little darker on the corner there. Just gradually, just paint normal. Your brush should go over those paint strips, tape strips really well. I'm taking a larger fan brush and I'm just softening, making it really, blending it in, softening, and bringing some of that blue down, just part way down that first set of window panes. Now I've taken some blue tape, painter's tape, just to create my horizon line. Just a little bit. I didn't feel confident enough to just draw a line there, so I'm just putting a little bit of yellow, touch of white to it, just to make a little thin line, and then take it off. Now I've got my back horizon line. Now I'm taking some cad yellow with a little white in there, and I'm going to make some circles in the center there. That's where I'm going to have my sun, right there in that center part. But I'm going to go all the way out with the yellow, just little tiny motions, circular motions, upward. Adding a little white to the center. And just softening it up, working it outward. Now I'm taking some light, a little tiny bit of black and a little more white with a touch of lavender. Actually skip the black, just do some white. Add white to a little bit of lavender to get that light gray look. I just put that right underneath that sun line there, the yellow, and just making with the fan brush motions of backwater, just prepping for the waves coming. I'm adding a little bit of phthalo blue to that. Just making squiggly lines. I'm adding some white also, just intermittent whites. To create the waves in the background there. And I'm creating where the wave is going to be center there. I'm just putting a gray line in there, kind of a darker, same as what we started there, lavender. And I'm putting a touch of red underneath that and touches of yellow. Little red, little yellow, and just smooth it under there. And back to the blue again underneath that. Just staggering it. And then back up in the middle there with that gray. Just little rocking motions for waves. Touch of red in there. Now I've added some blue in the front, phthalo blue with white. And I'm concentrating back, way in the back, the sunlight in the center there, and then I'm working outwards with some waves. Just white on a liner brush, creating a little motion back there. . adding a little light and a little dark just to give it some depth, and adding a little bit of yellow to my white waves back there, just to show reflection of the sun. Now I'm working on that middle wave with some darker phthalo blue out toward the edges there. Just squiggly little lines with my liner. Adding some white caps on top of that just to give it some motion. And adding in the background wherever I see it needs, I just put it in. Just adding squiggly dark lines back there. Now I am shaping the front of my dunes, I guess you'd say. Adding the right side slope down and then left side sloping, and with a dark little area in the front. Just to let you know, I'm just prep that first. Now I am in the back middle there. I've added some yellow and red for the wave, because the sun is really bright there. It's hitting that wave. And underneath that I'm putting some darker lavender just to accentuate that, to bring out that wave. Just softening under that. Little upward motions, just shaping the flow of the water. And underneath that, I'm going to add some white. I'm adding some more water, light bolt water underneath. It's like, seems like every other line is a different color. There's this, the darker part of the wave, and then the splash, which is the white. Underneath that, I'm just adding a little bit of lavender underneath the white of those bottom waves there. Makes them stand out. So I'm just tapping some lavender off to the side there. And that little tiny little squiggly line under the white, I'm just bringing that down a little bit, softening that up. Just blending. And I've added another little white row of waves there. Just blending. And now I'm doing a little bit of darker lavender, creating some more motion. The waves are coming into the sand. And I'm adding a little bit of red and yellow. The sun is hitting that part of the water. More lavender underneath, just shaping those waves. And I'm creating with a little bit of red and yellow straight underneath that sun line. It's hitting the sandy area and it's reflecting. I'm taking a little white and brushing in some light sand there. Just staying with the lay of the land, you might say. Adding some yellow and red here and there. Some yellow in the front, a little more lavender. Just staying with the lay of the land there, trying to get it's coming to shore. I'm adding some little footprints, and that is a medium to light lavender or violet, and I'm making some little footprints. Just kind of pretend you're walking on the sand and little footprints. Just a tiny little brush I'm using. And I'm going to make a second set. Maybe some smaller ones. I'm going to get them in there and then I'm going to soften them with my fan brush. You just gently brush over them a little tiny bit, just so that they kind of blend in a little bit. You can add a little white underneath if you have too much. Just blend them in a little bit. White in there. Okay, now I'm moving to the far right side. I'm getting ready to put in some land. So I've got a little bit of brown and sap green, a little bit of black. I'm just laying down some dark color in there. So with a fan brush, making some circular motions, because I'm going to have some long grasses in there. That's going to go quite high, actually. You see where the window frame is? They're going to go up that high. So I'm going to do another grassy area on the far left. Just kind of pushing up with my fan brush. Just figuring out the lay of the land there, how I want that to go. And it's going kind of downhill, so I'm just pushing my fan brush up. Just same on the other side, get it up there a little higher. I'll be adding some colors to that with maybe some yellow ochre and a little bit of red, a little bit of lighter greens. I'm filling in that blue up there, so just a little bit. Blue water. A lot of that's going to get covered up with the grass seeds I'm going to put in. I guess I don't know if you call them grass seeds or blades of grass. I don't know, but they're really tall. Here I'm bringing in some extra color in the base there, maybe a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow. Just tap some in because the sunlight is going to hit that area. Just trying to lay down some background color there. And they're going to fade into the sand there. I'm just putting in a little of the blue shadow area there. Stay a little blue. And I think there is a touch of Prussian in there too. Very little. That's a pretty strong blue, so. On the bottom there, I'm going to make that a darker area. Almost looks like snow, but it's actually sand. There's a blue, it picks up the blue in the sky. That white sand. Forming a little peak there. And I'll be laying in some darker areas. It's not totally flat there. It's going kind of downhill. There's a little knoll there. So I'm just laying in some color, which I'll be taking a brush and just blending that out. And there, I'm adding some white more in the center with a little bit of yellow from the sun. Just arcing it there. Now it's just a matter of blending. Just kind of blending the colors together and getting that movement of the sand. Darker areas, light areas. Making sure you got that nice sharp blue there. That really is stunning if you can get it to look like that. That's good. Now I'm just taking my brush and I'm just smoothing and bringing down some of that brown, those browns and oranges and yellows and reds, and bringing them down into the sand a little bit. Just blending. You want it not quite so sharp. You want to blend some of that blue out a little bit. And I'm going to make the bottom as dark as I possibly can. So I'm adding some more straight phthalo. And adding some more white in there. Nice contrast. Just adding some more yellows up in there. Got that bright area right in the middle there, that where the sun is hitting. Putting a little more white in there. Just creating some movement. And some more white in the blue there. That gives a nice effect there. Create some movement. Blending. Notice like on the right I've got some darker areas there. There's going to be some lot of grasses and twigs and things in that area. That's why I've got some a little darker on the right side. So now I am adding some of that tall grass. And I'm starting out with, and the only thing I describe it as not really yellow, but it's more of a mustard color. It's a little bit, it's cad yellow with just a touch of sap green, just a little tiny bit. So I wanted to be able to show against that backlit sun. And there are a lot of grasses you're going to be putting in with a liner. So you got to start out with, I started out with the lightest color. And then I gradually went to a light tan. And I threw in a little orangey that's red and a little bit of touch of yellow. Blades of grass. And you notice the first ones are quite tall. They almost go above that framework on the window. So you want it to go way up there. I'm putting in a little Van Dyke brown, with a little touch of red in there. You've got some sun going on, and some of those blades of grass are getting a little reddish tone to them, orangish tone. And then down the bottom I went back to my yellow and mustard color. As you get down toward the bottom, I'm working on the left now, getting same deal, putting in some light tans and a little tannish brown. I mean, you start out light and you gradually on the sides, they are going to be a little darker in places. And this is probably the most tedious part of the whole picture. Getting all these little blades of grass in there. And just see where the wind is going. The wind is coming from the left, and they're all kind of leaning to the right. So that's why I keep my angles in the right perspective there. And then I'll put in some darker colors here after I get my my mustard color and the yellows and the tans. I'll get them in there. Because I'm watching the angles on my window. You can see where the tape is. And I want some of those to come up above that second window. So I'm angling up, lifting as I arc it. Just, like I said, it's the most tedious part of the whole painting, I think, is getting these blades of grass in. That's what really makes it. I'm going in with some darker Van Dyke brown, and then I will add some green blades of grass there. I've got some darker browns in there, and I'm starting to fill in with some green, really green. And make sure you put enough thinner on your brush when you're dipping into the paint, because it will flow a lot better. And remember, where the sun is hitting, the lighter areas, the yellows, more at the tips of those blades of grass. And I'm bringing some of that color down a little bit into the sand. Too. And some brighter yellows in there where the sun is hitting. And there I used white with a touch of yellow. And the white is mixed with the liquid white, titanium white, and yellow. That really flows good. Now I'm bringing in some of those darker blades. And they are just almost above that framework of the window. There's a lot of filling in with the green blades of grass. It's time consuming. You have to, I dip my brush in my thinner and then I go right into the paint, and I can only get a couple strokes at a time, but it's worth it because it shows. A lot of filling in with the green, lighter greens, dark greens. And it seems to be a little more yellow in the center because the sun is there. So they're going to show more of a golden color. I have two fan brushes that are my favorites. One's a little thicker, and one is really, really fine. So I interchange with that. I'm using a fan brush there to bring up some of that foliage, because you want that kind of dark at the bottom there. And you can bring a little red in there. I've used red in there, some of those blades. Now I'm adding some twigs and some darker grassies kind of down in that blue area. Kind of dark, that's a shadow area. So you're going to have to be really fussy, but underneath those grassies I took a smaller brush and just kind of smudged underneath them a little bit. You know, I see almost a finished painting here. I'm almost ready. I am ready to pull off that tape. Alright, you're going to see. Pulling off the tape. Oh, it's pretty. It's going to be pretty. Yep, just pull it up real gentle, real slow. And you might want to take a scissors, which I did. Grab my scissors. Because it's still wet, you know, it could smudge, but I'm just gently pulling it off. One strip at a time. Ooh, I'm liking what I see. Ooh, Don did a great job shaping those windows. Wow. Now you can go back and touch up some of those white areas with some white paint in case it bled a little bit. I've been pretty lucky here. Well, I have really enjoyed this painting. It's the first one that I've done with tape like this in a very long time. So if you like what you see, hit the like button, follow me, and you can even share if you want. Love that. So, wow. So until next time, God bless and happy painting.